Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. I'm Courtney, and today's video is going to be a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing with you guys my anxiety struggle and what that looks like for me, as well as like what I do to kind of deal with that on a day-to-day basis. And I'm super nervous to film this. I'm nervous about how it might be received or what people might think, but I'm going to do it anyway, and I hope you guys can get something out of it in some way. Some of you will probably be watching this and think that it sounds crazy, while others will probably completely understand and can relate to it. So I'm sharing my reality with you guys and hope that it's received well. The main reason I wanted to share my anxiety with you guys is because I never want it to look one way on YouTube and then in reality be a completely different way. And so I want my channel to be real and honest, and this is part of it because this is what I struggle with from day to day, and I just want to share a little bit of that with you guys. And I'm in my son's room because he's got the better lighting right now at this time of day, and I'm in front of his crib and he's put all of his little ball pit balls in there. So I always knew that anxiety would be something that I would talk about if I ever started my YouTube channel, and now that I have, I'm finally talking about it. But the first step in doing what I felt led or called to do was start my YouTube channel, and that took a lot of courage to do that. It took me like over a year of thinking about it to actually get it started, and now that I've started it, it's a little bit easier to post videos and put myself out there, but I still get nervous on some of them, like this one I'm super nervous about. And when I started my YouTube channel, my second ever video was why I started YouTube, and I mentioned my anxiety a little bit briefly, and even by barely mentioning it like that, I had several people reach out to me with words of encouragement, and I really appreciated that. And then I also had a couple that thanked me for what I said in that video too, so that was encouraging and gave me a boost that I needed with starting my YouTube channel. And so I'm opening up more about my anxiety struggles with you guys. I'll start with just a little bit of a backstory in just a minute, but first I want to just say that I think that anxiety is a lot more common than we think that it is, and more people are probably dealing with it than we even know. So for me to be able to feel like I can be completely myself in my videos and continue putting out videos for you guys, I feel like I needed to share this and what I deal with, because I don't want it to be hidden, because it's so much a part of me that I don't think that would do good for me, and I don't know that I would be able to keep up with that long term anyway. And it needs to be said because it's on my heart, and whatever's on my heart I'm going to try to share with you guys. So I've also got my notes here, so if you see me looking down, I'm looking at my notes, because if I sat down to film a video without some notes, it would be like my mind is just going a mile a minute, and it would just be all over the place, because this is like, it's making me anxious just sitting here trying to relay what I'm trying to get out to you guys. It would just be all over the place. And Travis took the kids for me while I filmed this, and I'm very appreciative of that, so that I could keep my train of thought a little bit while I'm filming this. Okay, so a little bit of a backstory. I have always struggled with anxiety for as long as I can remember, like when I was younger, and I've never actually been diagnosed with it, and I've never been on medicine for it. I think that if it ever got to where I couldn't manage it on my own, then I probably would, but right now I don't think that's necessary. When I was younger, I remember always wanting to go into my parents' room at night and sleep, even if it was on the floor, because as soon as it got nighttime, I felt like somebody was going to break in our house and kill us while we were sleeping. And I know that sounds crazy, and nobody put those thoughts in my head either. Like, I don't know where I got it. They're just there, and that's what I thought. And it's like 10 o'clock at night, and there's a house full of people. Like, you know it's not going to happen, but you still can't shake that feeling that it will happen. And also, like, people's houses do get broke into, so it does happen to some people, so you've got that in the back of your mind no matter what scenario you're in anyway. So, and then like that, even has followed me through the years to now. Like even when Travis goes on business trips and stuff, well, especially when he goes on business trips, I am here by myself with the kids, and I'm always worried about like triple checking the doors and peeking out the blinds at night after I put the kids to bed, and making sure nobody's coming in. And then like it takes me forever to go to sleep, and then when I actually do go to sleep, it's not good sleep because I'm constantly waking up and like half asleep, just like trying to hear every little sound that I can, because I just know somebody's gonna break in. And then it goes past that even, and I'm thinking of like how I'm going to get out if somebody does come in the door. How am I going to get out the window? And then if somebody tries to come in the window, how am I going to get out the door? And then how am I going to get around to get Grant out? And it's just all these thoughts all the time, and it's exhausting. It's so much, you guys. And then I have like a plan even for when I'm in the shower. My weapon of choice, if you will, it's always a razor. I don't know what I'm gonna do with the razor to fight off somebody. And then I think about they're gonna be stronger than me and then use it on me, if not something worse. And it's bizarre. But also think of like going to the movies and my exit plan if anything happened in there, because that happens now too. And then at Walmart, who's following me, and where I'm gonna hide if somebody comes in there, or in the parking lot where I'm gonna run to. I'm always like watching my back. It's a lot. And then like, I don't think I mentioned this yet, but I've got social anxiety for sure. And then general anxiety, I guess, is kind of what I mentioned before. But social anxiety, when I was younger, it was always like people were staring at you, or you thought they were talking about you when really they probably weren't even thinking twice about you. And it would be like if we were taking a test and I was maybe the first one done or something, I wouldn't get up even if I was the first one to put my test up there, because I knew that everybody would be staring at me. So then you have to wait for somebody else to go put their test up there first, but then you still can't go because they would think that you were just waiting for them to go first. So you have to like wait a few more minutes in between to make it the right amount of time to be able to get up. And like I said, not everybody is probably going to understand this video. Some of you might think that it sounds crazy. Like, it even sounds crazy to me sometimes talking it out like this, but it is my reality, and it's what I deal with. And I know that other people can relate, because I've talked to other family members and friends sometimes about it, and that's one of the things that helps me, and I'll talk about that later in the video. It may not be normal, but it's our normal, if that makes sense. So as far as social anxiety now, what it looks like for me, going in large crowds, I'm kind of okay, because I feel like I fade to the background. Like going Black Friday shopping, I absolutely love it. Like, that is my jam. But put me in a small group, well, I can do like really small groups if I know you, but any kind of like small or medium-sized group, or large if I'm gonna have to talk. If I have to talk in front of a group, it's a no-go. It's not gonna be good. I get super nervous. But if I have to be in one of those groups in that scenario, I'm freaking out on the inside, and I get sweaty hands, and I start like having to catch my breath, feeling like I can't breathe, and get lightheaded. Things as small as like making phone calls to make doctor's appointments for myself. It's a little bit easier if I need to make them for my kids or for somebody else, because it, like, the attention somehow is not on me necessarily, and I can be somebody else's advocate before I can be my own. But if I have to call somebody, it is going to put, like, it's very, very hard for me, and I have to work up a lot of courage to be able to do it. And then once I do make that phone call, it's like I lose my whole train of thought and can't think of what I'm going to say. Sometimes you can even throw me off by asking my birth date, because that's not the question that I thought you were going to ask first. And this has actually happened at the doctor's office. Like, they'll ask me my birthday, and then I go blank for a second and have to think about it. It's crazy, because I'm thinking like 10 steps ahead and thinking of what I thought they were going to ask me, and that wasn't even what they were going to ask me at all. So overthinking is another thing that I do very well, actually. Overthinking everything. I know that some people like to go to the grocery store by themselves, like without their kids or a husband or anything, but that for me is actually 10 times harder. It stresses me out to go by myself. Like, I'd rather go with my kids even, because then they're the ones getting all the attention. And that's still like a little bit of an attention on me, but it helps a lot because when I'm by myself, I just feel like all the attention's on me and I'm absolutely wore out by the time I get out of the store. When I'm in the store, I end up just racing through the whole store as fast as I can. May forget a few things, but the quicker I can get in and out, the better. And like, I'm so like tensed up and anxious the whole time I'm in there and watching my back and worrying about all the encounters that I might have while I'm in there. And it's like absolutely exhausted for the day by the time I leave the store. But let me know if you are somebody that goes to the store by yourself and likes it, or if you prefer having somebody go with you. Then in restaurants also is another thing. Like, I really love going out to eat with my family, but when I'm in there, it is stressful. Sometimes I'll just like get inside of my head and like especially if I haven't ate and I'm getting really hungry, like, I don't know, I just all of a sudden get overwhelmed out of nowhere. It just comes on. I just start sweating and feeling dizzy and lightheaded, and I just start freaking out inside. And then at some point I'm just like inside my head praying that when I get up I won't pass out, because then if I pass out, that brings on a bunch more anxiety of the ambulance is going to have to come and take me to the hospital in front of all these people, and they're all going to be staring at me when all I did was pass out because I was anxious in the first place. And it's a lot. And sometimes I'm just like feeling my pulse to make sure that I am still breathing and have a heartbeat. Like, the reason I check my pulse is because I feel like I've had trouble swallowing, and then like my airway's blocked or something, and it's just, one thing leads to the other, and like it just escalates really quickly. As far as panic attacks go, I don't think I mean, you might call the one in the restaurant mild ones, and I have that kind of like really anxious feelings every once in a while, not too often. But as far as actual full-blown panic attacks, I think that I've only had one, and it was while I was pregnant with Porter, and I think Grant was almost 2 because he turned 2 a week after Porter was born. And so this one took place at church during the Bible school program, and there will probably be some people that are watching this that may or may not know that I was even having a panic attack that day. It was awful. So he was in the Bible school program, and all the kids went up on the stage to start singing their songs, which I was super excited for. I wanted to video him because during the actual week of Bible school, he was absolutely loving it. He loves music and he dances to it like crazy. He was an absolute dancer when he was that age, and I was looking real forward to being able to record those memories. And so my kid doesn't even make it up onto the stage to begin with. Like, he never stood a chance. He was over to the side, running up and down on the ramp up to the stage the entire time, and I was just getting more and more flustered as it went by. I started crying. I'm getting anxious just thinking about it, you guys. It was so bad. I started crying. I was sweating from head to toe. Travis couldn't get up to get him either because he just can't do that either. But I was just frozen in fear. I couldn't move, and me and my mom are sitting on the front seat. And so if I was to leave, everybody would see me crying the entire time. And then so they finally get done, and Travis took Grant out. He was supposed to go down to children's church, but I don't even think they made it there. I'm pretty sure they went out to the playground because Travis was so, it made him nervous too that whole time. And he doesn't like attention like that either. So me and my mom are still sitting in the front seat. She's fine. Most people probably think it was funny, but for me, I was absolutely beside myself. I was struggling. I could not stop crying the entire service. And I'm sitting in the front seat, so I can't escape. And the preacher's preaching and probably thinking, I don't know what. And so I couldn't even look at him the entire time. And I was just trying to catch my breath throughout the whole service. And then I think I cried like the entire way home too. And then, I mean, it was a hard day. And honestly, I was just ready to get out of there, to be honest. So, whew, that was really hard. That was the only panic attack that I can remember ever having. And I mean, there's no doubt that that's what it was, because it was a total freak out moment for sure. So I know that anxiety looks different for everybody, and I'm going to share a little bit of what it looks like for me as far as like physical symptoms, and then what's going on in my head as well. So on the inside, it looks like crazy thoughts, just like not being able to focus on one thing necessarily, and like your mind just going 100 different directions and thinking of like the absolute worst scenario possible. I'll mention some of that in a little bit. And then as far as physical symptoms go, my hands get really sweaty. So that actually happens a lot because I'm nervous anytime I'm around people. So like socially, you know, so that happens a lot. And like having trouble breathing and getting lightheaded and dizzy sometimes. And like I said, I check my pulse to make sure I'm still breathing. And then also you'll see me fidgeting a lot probably, and then sometimes even crying, like when I had that full-blown panic attack. As far as overthinking goes, I pretty much overthink everything. From the shirt I'm gonna wear and get somebody's opinion on it, even if I don't want your opinion on it, I still feel like I need it for some reason. And overthinking the comments that I might comment back to somebody. So if you ever get a comment back from me, just know that there was a lot of thought put into it, and I truly do care about what I say back to somebody and how it's going to be received by that person. And so just know that if you get a comment back or a reply, that it is truly heartfelt for me. And I really appreciate all the ones that I do get. You can just ask my husband, I talk about it to him too. Like the comments that I make, or even having conversations with people in general, I am constantly thinking of like what I need to say back to that person and how what I say is going to be received, and if they're going to get, like if somebody's mad at me or something like that, it spirals from there. But as like when I'm having a conversation, it might be like a 2-minute conversation, and I'll be thinking about it for the next couple days of what I forgot to say or should have said in place of something I did say, or what they thought about what I said. And it's bizarre because that person probably didn't even think twice about that 2-minute conversation, maybe not even remember that they even had it with you, but I'm still thinking about it for days. Sometimes when there's a lot to do there, I just start like overthinking everything and get super overwhelmed, and it's almost like it would be easier for me to just forget it all and just go lay in bed or something and just avoid at all costs doing the task at hand, because it's just so overwhelming to me to even think about starting it. Like usually when you start something, it gets easier and you can like finish it, but the fact of even starting when you have a bunch of things in a row, it's just like so overwhelming to me. It makes me so anxious and uptight that I eventually just end up doing none of it. Another thing that happens sometimes when I get super overwhelmed that I didn't mention just a while ago is irritability. I can get very irritable really quick when I'm super anxious. Travis can probably attest to that. And it's something that I work on. And like, not everybody gets anxiety, so that can get hard. Like Travis doesn't have it, so he doesn't necessarily fully understand it completely. We've been together we've been married for 5 years now, and then together for like a total of 9, I guess. So he knows me enough now to know when I'm feeling anxious and kind of like when I need a breather, but he still doesn't fully understand it, so that can be a little hard sometimes. But I'm trying to get better about communicating with him when I do have it. And so that way that because that's how I help myself not get irritable about it. Like I'm having to try to take 2 steps back and like know that he's not inside my head, so he can't see what's going on, and that I need to verbally let him know calmly what's going on, and that I just need a second to myself to gather my my composure, if you will. Another thing that I tend to do is think of the worst possible outcome of any situation, like where most people would just see their kids playing. I see, like, let's say Porter has a kid broom in his hand or something and he's just walking with it. Other people would just see, oh, he's got a cute little broom, he's just playing. To me, I see him falling on it and it like puncturing his sternum or something, or like in the roof of his mouth up into his brain. I know that sounds crazy, but and then like I'm the worst passenger driver. Like I would so much prefer me to be driving because I feel like I'm in control, but if I'm in the passenger seat, I just know that Travis is going to get, like if he gets almost to the white line. I mean, I personally think he gets over it sometimes, but he says he doesn't, so. But if he's almost to the white line, I just know that we're gonna end up flipping over in a car wreck on the side of the road. And when people are like giving their kids baths, they probably just think they're taking a fun bath. Me, I think if there's too much water in there, their kids are gonna bend over and get too much in their mouth, and they're gonna die from secondary drowning or something like that. So I'm always thinking of the worst possible outcome, and that gets super, super exhausting. And it's a fine balance of letting my kids be kids and me being like super overprotective and trying to make sure that they don't get hurt in the way that in my head is telling me that they're going to get hurt, if that makes sense. So like I mentioned earlier, I knew that I wanted to do a video on my anxiety for you guys. And it's kind of awesome how God can put people in our lives sometimes at the right time without that other person even knowing, and that how it can have like a ripple effect to help others and yourself at the same time. I think that's really cool and so like beyond us. Because I was watching Live, Laugh, Dust and The Shipwife. They both did a video on their anxiety recently, and it just kind of gave me the encouragement and boost that I needed to finally put my thoughts together. Like literally right after I watched their videos, I got my notebook out and I started writing down what I wanted to say in this video. And so I'm super thankful for their videos and their openness and willingness to put themselves out there in that way too, because it's definitely something that takes a lot of courage, because when you have anxiety, I mean, this is something, for me at least, it's something out of the ordinary. It took a lot for me to be able to even start my channel to begin with. So they definitely inspired me to finally put my thoughts together and make this video for you guys. So no matter whether you have 5, 75, or 75,000 people in your audience per se, then what you're doing matters. If it helps one person, what you're doing matters, and that one person matters. So I encourage you guys and myself to say those things that are hard to say, and like, because what you say and like are feeling from day to day actually does matter. God cares about that. He knows about that already and wants you to be able to share that to help other people. So, and like I was saying, it took me a little bit longer to put this video out there because of me feeling anxious about it and scared of what other people would think about it. Now that I have shared with you guys my struggles and what anxiety looks like for me, I'm going to share a little bit about like what I do to help myself, and maybe it's something that you're already doing, or maybe something that would help you too. I don't know. But like I said, I don't take medicine for it, but I do a few other little things. And like I mentioned before, I do my little pulse check to make sure that I'm still breathing. Like that's when I'm really, really feeling anxious. Like in the moment, that's the one thing. Like, okay, I'm still breathing. Everything's okay. It's not as bad as I'm thinking it is. And like I briefly mentioned earlier, it also helps me to kind of talk with a family member or a friend that I know also struggles with anxiety, because you can kind of relate. And like I said, know that it might not necessarily be everybody's normal, but it's our normal. And so like the feelings and the symptoms that you're having might not be normal for a normal person, but it's normal for us. And you're not actually going crazy, and it's going to be okay. And it just really helps to talk those things out and know that somebody else is dealing with the same thing. And then sometimes I just need to separate myself for a few minutes and take a deep breath and calm myself down. Like if I've had a really overwhelming day with the kids or something, and then Travis comes home, it's a great help to be able to just go into a different room and let him play with the kids for a few minutes and have a moment to myself to compose myself again. And if I'm feeling really anxious, like during the day with the kids, and they're playing, I might just like step into my room or something for a second if they're okay on their own, and just take a few deep breaths and maybe say a little prayer. That's something that definitely helps me, is praying. Like I said, like in the restaurant, when I'm having those mild little anxious attacks, I will say a little prayer sometimes, and that'll get me through that. But then like, not only that, like go a little further with it. Be specific about what you want help in with your anxiety. Like I get irritable And sometimes if I'm feeling overwhelmed and I'm here by myself with the kids, I might need to just say a little prayer for patience. Maybe I'm praying at night when I'm home by myself, or maybe if I'm not even home by myself. It happens sometimes when I'm feeling anxious, and I'll just be praying for him to calm my nerves and put me at peace so that I can actually get some sleep that night. And then I like to listen to Christian music. It kind of helps me just remember that I am not alone in this, that God knows me. He knows my struggles already. So all I need to do is pray and ask him for help with those. And then another thing I like to do is take baths. Travis watches the kids for me every once in a while I take a bath, and that is super relaxing to me. I don't know what it is, just some hot water, maybe some Epsom salts or bubble bath or something like that. And at the end of a long day is super relaxing and calms my nerves quite a bit. And then sometimes you just need to distract yourself. Like, there'll be times that you might not be able to get away from your anxiety or whatever's overwhelming you in that moment, and you just need to distract yourself. Like, think about something else, anything else than what is the root point of what you're being anxious over. So I hope this video helped you feel a little bit less alone in your anxiety struggle if you have anxiety, or if you don't have anxiety, maybe it enlightened you a little bit on what anxious people look like. It's not always, like, you can't always see it on the outside. Most of the time you probably can't see that they're anxious and going through like crazy thoughts in their head, and maybe it just helped you to see that side of it a little bit better. But if you do deal with anxiety, just know that you are not alone. I totally relate. And if you ever just need somebody to talk to, or you have words of encouragement, because those are always accepted with me, because I'm dealing with this all the time. But if you ever just need somebody to talk to, you can reach out to me through the comments, or if you want it to be private, you can message me over on Instagram. It's at the Briles Bunch there as well, but I'll leave a link in the description box. And then I'll also leave my email down there too, just in case you don't have Instagram. So if you relate to this video in any way, make sure to like it and leave me a comment down below, and subscribe if you're not already, because I would love for you to become part of my YouTube family. And then also follow me over on Instagram, because I share a lot more of my family and do little day-to-day posts through the stories and stuff too. So I'd love to have you over there. But I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.